Welcome back to another video. I hope you guys are all doing great. Today we get to do a complete flip through of the Christian Light Education Incremental Math series, their grade 4, and I can't wait. I'm really excited because this is going to be also my first time looking at it from cover to cover. I of course looked at it online when it came in. I couldn't help it and just went ahead and kind of flipped through it quickly, but I had yet to really sit down and thoroughly look at every single page, and we get to do that together. So I'm really excited about this today. We're going to be doing a complete flip through again of the student textbook. I also have the teacher's guide, so we're going to be opening this up, and what I thought I would do is I'm going to look at this kind of briefly. We'll skip around a little bit, talk about how we use it, and give a detailed look at really the inside of the teacher's guide. Then I wanted to open up and do a lesson by lesson kind of like comparison of how to use the two together and how this can be very beneficial, especially if you are new to homeschooling or if you're just new to the program and you're interested in how their teacher guides work with their student text. So we're going to be looking at that together. Ignore the flies, I am outside, so if you hear all the flies buzzing around, I apologize in advance. Anyway, so student textbook, teacher's guide, and then I also picked up their student packet, which includes all the graph worksheets, tests, quizzes, and speed mastery drills with progress charts and everything like that. Anyways, with all that being said, I'm going to go ahead and grab the camera. We're going to head back inside and get to the flip through, which I cannot wait for. Christian Light Education Incremental Math series. We are again going to be flipping through grade 4 today. This is definitely a lot less common than their light units, which is why I'm really excited to highlight it in today's video. So first off, this is the full year Mathematics 4 hardcover textbook. It does include 160 lessons, and each one is really carefully laid out, just like in the original light units, to teach one concept at a time. It's very consistent and also what appears to be very manageable for 4th grade. So I've looked at the lesson lengths and they're not very long or overwhelming. So I do think it is very doable, even though it is a little bit more of a, an older child solid textbook, but it is doable for 4th grade. So the textbook does still follow the Christian Light's incremental and spiral approach, which means new concepts are going to be introduced in small steps. And just like in the original light unit here, every single lesson is going to include built-in review, which I love. So that means that our children are going to be constantly practicing old material while learning new things. And in my personal experience with that approach, and especially with such a sound program like this, it's going to really help that learning stick. So they're not going to be moving on too quickly to where they're not mastering the concept. I love this approach so much. So we're going to go ahead and flip through here. We're going to, of course, have your contents, your Unit 1 contents. If you go to the beginning of the book here, it does tell you a brief rundown of how to use it. So each unit follows a theme introduced by a story and photographs relating to the theme, which I love. Many word problems and nuggets of information follow this theme as well. So I love that every single unit is going to have its own little thing. It's going to also go through all the same sections that the light units offer as well. So your We Remember section, you're going to go through sharpening your skills. I just love this approach so much because, again, it really does help our little ones master concepts. I do also love that it's so bright and colorful, and so does my soon-to-be 4th grader. When this came in, he flipped through it, and I just love to see him light up at all the different pictures and all the fun illustrations. Everything is right up his alley, which just makes it really exciting for him when it comes to starting our school year. So after your contents here, you're going to go straight into Unit 1, Lesson 1. Because every single unit does have its own theme, you're going to have a short story to jumpstart you into that theme. So the first one here, or the first unit anyway, is Math Around the World, so that's really going to be the focus of your entire unit. Then you go into Unit 1, Lesson 1, and this is what your very first lesson of the book is going to look like. So just as a quick reminder, unlike the light unit workbooks, this textbook is non-consumable, so your child will need to write their answers in a notebook or on loose paper. I have these graph notebooks I'm going to be using for the kids this year. I actually really like this because it gives us a little more room to work out problems and to keep track of progress. Plus, I feel like it's less waste and save space on the shelf. So once they've completed the curriculum, it is non-consumable. You can use it for ever and ever and ever if you want. And with the notebook and graph paper, you can choose to keep it or toss it depending on what you want to do with that. But I really, really do enjoy that everything is all right here. And another big advantage of having the textbook version is honestly just simplicity. It's having everything in one place, and it's easy to use day after day without having to keep track of multiple books. So if your little one does prefer the feel of a single big book, or if you want a no-fuss approach or figure out how how to store those separate light units, this might work really, really well for you in terms of just the functionality and just the just the ease of having everything in one place is going to be different for me this year because I'm not used to not using little books. Anyway, this is a look at the first lesson. You're going to do that, and of course you have your section of sharpening your skills where you're going to go through fact focus. By lesson 2, you're going to be ready for introduction to fractions, facts about fractions, and this is kind of how the lessons are also laid out in the light units, where you have your introduction to a new concept, you have practicing the new concept, you have more practice of that new concept, and then of course fractions. And then this is what I love about this program is every single lesson is going to have a we remember section just to refresh your memory, keep your skills really sharp, and then sharpening your skills. So this is the skills, the sharpening your skills part this is the part you've really already mastered, but you're going to keep those skills sharp all throughout the year. You're not just going to do it once and then skip it and then forget it by the end of the year. You really are going to continue to sharpen those facts and everything. Lesson 3, we're going to be solving word problems, finding half of a number mentally. I love the real life word problems. By lesson 4, we have reading and writing decimals, ordering decimals with tenths. By lesson 5, you're ready for quiz 1, which is your entire lesson for the day. So we have this here. Lesson 6, we're going to be doing placing decimal points. And just as a little thing here, I just love how bright and colorful it is, but it still is so sound of a curriculum. I have a hard time finding something that's bright and fun and interactive, but also sound. I feel like this blends the two together beautiful. This is a really, really pretty job. So another remember, sharpening your skills. I'm just going to go ahead and flip through the first chunk of this, and as we get well into the book, we'll stop and we'll talk about where we're at. We are now doing math in Italy. So this is the theme for this new unit, and I love it so much. I feel like it's so fun and interactive when you have a different theme through all the different things. There's even photographs. I love this as well because I feel like even the story problems include whatever you're talking about, and even the story problems. So Uncle Bill mailed Anthony a packet of photos from Italy. The label said the postage cost $2.79. How much change did Uncle Bill receive from $5? It really does include a lot of that fun and living math approach to the way that they're doing this. Love the fact that they are in their unit about Italy, starting doing the Roman numerals. That's like a perfect blend in my opinion. Unit 3, we have a brand new place to learn about. This is the same as the other previous units, where all of the story problems and everything you're solving for has to do with Ireland in a specific unit. So even the did you know facts having to do with Ireland. So there are no snakes in Ireland. The common lizard is the only native reptile on the island. So things like that. Unit 4, we are headed to Australia now. So the longer I'm looking at this, the more I love how many different areas of not just math, but you're doing geography, you're also doing history. So Britain's king appointed Captain Arthur Phillip to oversee a prison colony in Australia in 1787. If one group of prisoners had 599 men and then 160 women, how many more men were there than women? So you're doing history as well as geography, all interwoven beautifully with math. So you don't even realize, I feel like, that you're learning all these other things while doing math, and I just love how they did this. It is so fun. And now we are ready to jump over to the desert in New Mexico. And after New Mexico, Unit 6, we are now ready to jump into the continent of Antarctica. Just so while I'm doing the flip through here, some of the contents that we're going to be learning by the time you get a little halfway through the book. So you're on Unit 6, you're going to be going through keys to finding common factors, introduction to circumference of a circle, ratios, compare measurements, finding circumference using diameter, so multiplying 3 digits, numbers by 2-digit numbers, area of triangles, rounding numbers with 9, and then 1 minus a fraction. So you're starting to get a little bit more complicated, starting to multiply a lot of different digits in different areas, and you're starting to introduce some geometry as well. Okay, and now from the Antarctica, we're going to jump into, I believe, South Africa. So I jumped ahead a few lessons here and jumped ahead to Unit 9, which we are now going to dive into China. So at this point, let me actually go back here. We're going to be doing metric units for liquids, drawing angles. We're going to be doing adding time with carrying, congruent angles, finding square roots, dividing money, etc. for Unit 9. And then by Unit 10, we will be going into New York. And in Unit 10, we're going to be doing dry food measures, rounding to the nearest 4th inch, prime and composite numbers, keys to finding prime numbers, a square root symbol, scale drawing on a grid for Unit 10. And again, the exact same wonderful layout that I am absolutely loving right now. And then that is it. So at the end, of course, you're going to have your glossary, and then in the back here, your index for all the terms that you'll look up. So now that we looked at what is inside the textbook, let's go ahead and open up the teacher guide. I'm going to give a brief kind of rundown of this guide, and then we'll open it up and I'll give you a look at those first few lessons to see how they're going to work together. So first of all, I do have to shout out this teacher guide. A lot of the times spiral bound things never really work well for me, but this one is so nice. The back is actually a hardcover, and it doesn't look like it's going to go anywhere or spin out, if you know what I mean, when it comes to the spiral. The front page is still like a soft cover, but it's really, really high quality. When you flip into the back, it's going to have a teacher's guide resource CD, and in this CD you are going to be having all kinds of printable posters, charts, and practice sheets, which is incredible. I love that they provide this for our homeschool, so we can print off as many as we want to use in our home. So we're going to go ahead and open this up and see what is inside. You of course are going to have your contents to give a quick glance at where everything is at in your teacher guide. And then I love how they have a brief kind of rundown of every single unit and kind of some tips and pointers and things to talk about. So your introduction of the course, of course, is going to go through your course materials. So your students are going to need their Mathematics 4 textbook, which is right here. Their student 4 packet, the student pack, which is right here. So this is going to be their student packet. We'll come back to that in a minute. Your drill progress chart, speed mastery drills, and your quiz and test packet, which is also included in the student packet, which is right here for the tests and stuff. So for your teacher, you're going to have your Mathematics 4 teacher guide, which is what we're looking at, your resource CD, which is in the back of the book here, your full solution answer key. So once you go through all the different units, how everything's kind of laid out and what it entails, this is what it's going to look like for you as a teacher when you jump into a new unit. And a lot of you mamas have actually asked me if CLE is scripted, and the answer to that is kind of yes and no. It does not give you a full-on script. However, it does tell you kind of what to talk about and some key starting points to jumpstart conversation. So for example, for Unit 1, you're going to welcome students to Mathematics 4, Unit 1. You're going to read and discuss the story, which is this front page right here, and I love how they include every single page in the teacher guide. So you don't have to jump from teacher guide to textbook, you can just have your own personal book. You're going to read the story, and then you're going to discuss the story. And then here it's going to have discussion points. So you're going to talk about any coins you have from countries other than your own and how you got them. Then you can share some activities that you have done with your grandparents or other older relatives. What are some of your most valuable memories? What items beside coins might a traveler collect? So it really does give you discussion points to talk about that. And then down here it has a tip. Hi, baby. So after your unit overview, you can then jump into the layout of the actual lesson. Again, it does have the entire page, so you know exactly what your little one is looking at the same time. It goes through your brief look at everything needed. So if you do want to have everything ready before your little one sits down with you, or if they're an independent learner, mine's going to be mostly independent with this, you can go ahead and get out your flashcards. You can have your speed drills ready if you're choosing to do speed drills, and everything ready to go. You have your flashcard drill ready, your speed drill, your mental computations for the day, and then the part that it even has a part where we'll be teaching, which is understanding numbers to thousands, which is going to be this part here. So normally with my little ones, we will go through the new concepts together. So this is the part where I will actually sit down and teach them. I'll always teach them new concepts. I'll make sure it is solidified. And then once they get into like the review section, then they're normally independent when it comes to all the reviewing. So down here, it says teaching the lesson, which this is the part where if you are not confident in teaching your children math or whether or not how to word it, and things like that. This part is amazing because it's going to tell you exactly what to do. So it's going to say discuss the terms, numbers, and digits. Write these numbers on the board and have students tell how many digits in each number and name each digit, and then it has all the answers right here that you need. So it's going to tell you what to do next. Display the place value chart poster side by side, explain the groups and division within each group. So it really does, even though it's not fully scripted, it gives you talking points and exactly what to talk to your students about, which I love because sometimes we need a little confidence boost when it comes to teaching our little ones and making sure we're covering all the different concepts and everything. And then on the third page of this, you of course are going to have your sharpening your skills section with all the answers right there. I love that for your speed drill, which is also included in your student pack, so your Unit 1, Lesson 1 speed drill, you're going to give this to the student, but the answers for the speed drill is also right here in your teacher guide. So this guide is everything included in one. I really do love the ease and practicality that it does offer mamas, is to have everything included. There's no more like pulling from different answer guides and resources and stuff. Everything is right here that you need. So Unit 2, same thing. It goes through your materials needed, teaching the lesson about fractions, we remember section, your speed drill for number 2, and everything like that. So since we already had a look at the textbook, this is pretty much everything that you need to help your student master that program. And it does have notes all throughout the textbook for teacher notes if you do need to come back, which I also love. It has assigned classwork for things like that. This is definitely designed for that classroom setting. That's why a lot of the stuff is laid out the way it is. However, if you do want to be more detail oriented in either record keeping and seeing exactly where your children are at, this is wonderful, wonderful for doing that. So it also has little teaching tips down here all throughout the book as well. So any number divisible by 9 is also divisible by 3. Any number that is not divisible by 3 is not divisible by 9 either. So it's going to have all those little tips and tricks all throughout the teacher guide to help your student really master concepts and really remember them as well. So now that we looked at that, we're going to open this up really, really quickly. I just want to show you guys a side-by-side lesson of what you're going to be opening up to every single day. So day 1, lesson 1 for the student, and then day 1, lesson 1 for you as the mama. It's going to be just like this. It's the exact same thing, and this is just going to help you really instruct your children well when it comes to teaching new concepts, and first and foremost, and most importantly, give us mamas the confidence to teach our children well. So now that we looked at those, we'll go ahead and look through our student packet. I already showed you those speed drills. This also includes a lot of the like graph worksheets. So you don't start using the graph worksheets until your Unit 5, Lesson 15, where you're going to be solving different things. So it's going to have a lot of different graphs in here. So some animals need lots of sleep per day, others need very little sleep. So this chart shows the amount of sleep some animals need per day. So you're going to build your own graph depending on which way it goes. So a lot of those are going to be included within your lessons. Of course, you have all of your quizzes is going to be included in this as well. I would definitely recommend, if you have a 100% independent learner, I would definitely recommend administering all of the quizzes. This will let you know as a mama exactly where your children are at, make sure they're understanding everything, that concepts are being solidified. But if you are right there with them and you know they're not struggling because you're checking their work daily, that's the most important thing as well, is we need to be actually checking the work when they're done, especially if it's a textbook version where their work is on a separate piece of paper. So once we teach them the new concept, so let's say we're teaching them the new concept and then we're letting them be fully independent for like this part here, so sharpening your skills, this is the part that we need to check. Sometimes we forget that yes, they can be independent, but we still need to check to make sure, because I feel like whenever we don't check, then they might become more relaxed or they might not worry about getting anything wrong. So it's really important to make sure, sorry for the noise, to make sure our students are understanding concepts. So I would say if they are more independent in their like fact focus and reviews, to go ahead and administer their quizzes just so you can make sure that they understand and they solidify concepts. So I would definitely recommend doing those. So we also have all the speed drills, which I showed you. They're mastery drills. These are important too. This is, I would say, if you know that your child has mastered these, they might not be a necessity. But that's, you know, as a mama, that would be your kind of call to make when you see and assess where your children are at, where your children are at when it comes to the curriculum. You have the drill progress chart, which is great. You have your speed drills, mastery drills, and everything like that. So everything is included. I love this so much. I'm really glad that I got to sit down with you guys and kind of just walk through it, because again, I hadn't seen it yet cover to cover, and this is really inspiring to me to see how everything is laid out. I love how everything that you need as a possible, like everything you'd possibly need as a mother teaching your children math is in here. So this is one I would say 100% get the teacher guide to go with it. The textbook is going to last you forever. Growing up, we did a lot of non-consumable textbook things because I'm a second-generation homeschooler. And my mom would always buy those fun little book covers. You can get all kinds of those like little stretchy book covers. I grew up with a lot of those. And you can protect the cover, and this will last you for many, many, many years to come, which I love that it is non-consumable. Same with the teacher guide. It's high quality, so it's going to stand the test of time as well. So these two together, beautiful, beautifully done curriculum, and I'm really excited to jumpstart our new homeschool year with my little one. you so much for joining me today. I hope you enjoyed seeing a look at what is inside the Christian Light Education Incremental Math series. I am so excited. I cannot wait to use this with my little one, and he is excited too, which just makes all the difference in the world as a homeschool mama who tries to choose curriculum that's not only sound and thorough, but also works well for the student that they love and also works well for me as a mama. Anyway, thank you again for watching. I appreciate every single one of you, and until my next video, you guys have a wonderful day and God bless. Bye guys.